record. Hey Sue, picture this. I'm standing at the bottom of a horse float and I've got my horse boots on and I'm rocking my great 60s ponytail. You know how I love to wear my hair up like that. And I'm watching my granddaughter or one of my granddaughters. She is sitting there or trying to climb this float, and her brother is already at the top of it. And I can see that look on her face. Like it seems like for her, it's probably feeling like Mount Everest.
Mm, mm,
And she's got this mixed emotions. You can see it. There's that look of determination, that uncertainty. There's that, oh, I'm about to give up type look. And so those things happen when we're not quite certain what to do. So at that point, instead of just saying to her, oh, look, just wait until you get a bit bigger, or just be careful. You know how we can sometimes err on the
mm, mm.
caution. What I did was, because I had already scrambled halfway up this horse bloke, and so I scrambled back down, and so I just said to her, let's like think about how we might take this first step. Because the legs weren't quite long enough to do that next step. And so we had to sort of like do a bit of problem solving and give her a little bit more encouragement. So rather than she giving up right then and there,
Mm.
that she felt like she was involved in the process of being able to do it. And look, the smile on her face when she worked it out was just precious. And when she got to the top, she yells out, I am strong. And those are the moments that make being an active Nan like so much worth the effort.
Mm,
Don't
mm.
you agree?
Yes, yeah, and you sort of feel like um, they've achieved that because of you, and that's always good as well. But also, you're seeing that they are growing in confidence and at an earlier age than perhaps you might have been, or me. And so it's there's so much positive, and it's an experience you've shared together as well.
That's right. And it's something that just sticks with you. It just stays in your head. And so I thought what we talk about today is being an active Nan, like in this world, whether you're a Nan, a nanny, a grandma, whatever you call yourself, a Mimi, it doesn't matter what it is, but we're just helping that younger generation. And even as a grandmother who has a very packed schedule, like yourself, when I'm with my grandkiddos, my phone stays in my pocket and the to-do list is just put aside.
Mm,
So, what I've learned from this experience is that we're more present in the moment with them. And it's never about being perfect, it's just about staying present with them.
mm.
That when we're moving in some way, whether that's play, exercise, sport, it doesn't matter what it is, we're creating some level of connection. So that might be through climbing, like I was talking about. It could be dancing, it could be rolling down a hill, who knows what it is. But every adventure that we go through with these grandkiddos, what we're doing is we're teaching them that life is meant to be lived fully. Would you agree with
Mm.
that?
Yes, as far as my grandsons go, they're fortunate that their parents are both active people as well,
Yes.
and so I'll even have them say to me, "Oh, they'll talk about health or well-being or something," and it's great because they know the benefits of it. They don't necessarily always want to do things, but
No.
I know my son-in-law and daughter are very much about getting them out, especially on the weekends,
Yeah.
getting out, being active, riding bikes, they do sport, they go to the park, they do all those sort of things. So they've learnt that from their parents. But I think what they see from me is that they'll say, let's go to the park. And I'll say, yeah, sure. And Ethan will say, have you got your football shoes on, Nan? And I'll go, yes, I brought them. And so, I'll go and play that with them. But they know that I'm interested
Yes.
because I've worn the shoes. I don't say, oh, sorry, I've only got my sandals on, so I can't kick the ball. I've come prepared to be with them and to be active with them.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, when we're going to those parks or whatever activity it happens to be, sometimes we'll get those looks, those strange looks that go, gee, what is she doing? But
Mm,
eventually, when they see, I believe, when they see the kiddos responding in the way that they do and the smiles that are on our face, that actually helps whoever's looking at us have a little smile or a little chuckle on their face as well too.
mm. And maybe give them an idea of what they can do with their grandchildren.
Yeah, and what I was also thinking about was that we're learning through adventure. So
Mm,
one of the things that triggered for me when I started to think about this was as a child, we had a locust tree in the backyard. So you either had a mulberry tree or a locust tree or
mm,
both, you know. And this locust tree was for me, if I had my cranky pants on when I was a kid, that's where you'd find me. I
mm,
just climbed that tree. And it was an escape for me. It was my happy place. And what lights me up from the inside is when I see my grandchildren actually finding these special places like I did.
mm,
Well, I don't know whether
mm.
your grandkids have a special place. Do you see them gravitating to something?
No, but I see them gravitating to doing something. So if he's a bit like his nan probably. If he's got something on his mind or he's fidgety or whatever, he'll just go outside and kick the ball against the fence. And
Mm-hmm.
for him, it's movement. For me, if I'm stressed, I'll go for a walk or a run or do some
Absolutely.
working out. So rather than having a place per se, it's more of a doing, an
An action.
activity, an
Mm.
action. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know the same thing for me too. If I'm sitting here trying to think about something and it's a real struggle, I will actually go outside. Sometimes it just takes getting some sunshine on my face
Mm,
or feeling the breeze that it makes such a big difference to me. But here's what I realized about the locust tree. What it did was it taught me patience because I had to work out which branch was going to be the safest of all branches, right?
yes, yes.
Otherwise, I'm going to be toppling down. It also taught me trust in myself and my abilities. There was a lot of problem solving because I think there is definitely more than one way to scale a tree. So you
Mm,
don't
mm,
necessarily have to go up the same branches all the time. And it also showed me what reward it brought to me as well. And, particularly when the locusts were in season and I could sit up there and pick them and eat them,
mm,
and end up with a
mm,
bellyache from it. So I think it's really important to encourage this generation to be able to find either their special place or to
mm,
find that activity that helps them learn all these different types of skills and value those skills as well too.
mm. Yeah, agree.
Anything you want to add on
No, I think it just that it builds their confidence as well. Pardon me,
that?
because as you say, with the problem solving, it makes them think. It makes them, um, you know, work out what to do, and then when they do it, they've achieved something. So they think, oh, well, I could work that out. So that's something I can do, and that builds their confidence in doing other
Mm,
things.
mm. I notice with Spiro, particularly when it gets hard for him, I see him start to, like slide down out of the chair.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
this snake. He slides out of the chair and then he starts rolling on the ground. So it again is that movement that's helping him process what's difficult about whatever it was that he's trying to learn or discover.
Mm,
So it's
mm,
quite an interesting thing. But I think there's a lot of magic in grandmothers because we've got the wisdom to know what really matters. We've got more patience to try and figure things out. We've got the experience behind us so that we know when to step in and when to step back from a situation. And I think that we understand that the best teaching experiences happen when we're not even saying words.
mm, mm. I agree with that. It's doing things together, and it could, and I think the thing is, it doesn't have to be anything super fantastic. It would be just a simple thing, and we can have fun and like the other week in the school holidays, we'd gone out and we'd bought, I don't know, a smoothie or something. And then we all decided that, well, they were very expensive and they probably weren't that healthy for us. So why don't we make our own? So we came the next week that we went out and bought the ingredients, the
Yeah,
fruit and, the yogurt and all that sort of stuff. And we made our own concoction, a
yeah,
bit like a boost juice or something. And it was just fun. We all got in, they chopped up the fruit and we threw it in the blender and someone put the yogurt in and things like that. And then we all sat down and enjoyed it because it was such a hot day. And I think it's more about doing those little things together, and even with me just playing soccer, with them out in the yard,
hmm,
you're all present, you're all doing things, and you know we're always if Ethan's playing soccer, we're at the World Cup, so we have to be different teams, and it's all very,
very structured.
yeah, yeah, and
That's
so but that's all fun because we're suddenly not Nan and the two boys, we're Messi and some other Ronaldo or whatever
yeah,
team we're playing for, and then they also come up with the commentary as we go along, like,
yeah.
and have the slow motion replays and things like that, so it becomes not just an activity of playing soccer, it becomes this big sort of fun hour or something of being in the World Cup and using imagination.
It's quite funny because it tells you a little bit about the personality that he's developing as well
Oh
too,
yeah,
doesn't it? Yeah,
yes, yes,
huge, huge, huge.
yeah.
That made me think about a situation where we had gone to see the latest Sonic movie.
Oh yes, yeah.
And so one of the family traditions that we've started, because we now have, for anybody who's not aware of this, we have two grandchildren who are permanently in our care that live with us. So I'm now raising children in my 60s when you just thought it was all over and done with. Um, and so we've gone to this movie, but so we're trying to, or I'm trying to think about building, different types of family traditions and also
Mm,
learning from the experiences where I think I could have done better after raising my own children as well too,
yes,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And so Paul has diabetes, and one of the wonderful things is for him to get up and move after a meal. And he's quite good with lunch and dinner, but sorry, breakfast and lunch, but not so good with dinner. And so I thought, well, what we'll do is we'll just do this, 10 minutes. That's all it has to be, but sometimes it's longer. So we go out after dinner, so we don't even worry about doing the dishes. We just put it all on the sink, rinse it off, and we go. Um, And so when they'd seen this Sonic movie, all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm going to be Sonic and you're going to be so and so and you're going to be so and so and you're going to be so and so. Here, quick, Nanny, give me the magic rings. And I'm having to throw the magic rings. And yeah, exactly the same thing as what you're talking about. There's this creativity that happens. They're just spontaneous. And what it does for us is it also allows us that opportunity to get lost in that world as well too.
Mm, mm, mm. Well as being quite active, they like to produce little books. So they'll write books
Mm.
on, and they even put on there, author illustrated by, that sort of thing. And they'll get me involved and they'll say, well, come on, Nan, you can write a story as well. And I'm sort of trying to pick my brains because I don't think creatively enough like that. But that's not
Mm.
necessarily a physical activity, but it's good for my brain to come up with
Absolutely.
ideas, and they'll remember, oh, remember when you wrote that story about such and such, Nan? That was very good for your first one. And so it's good for them because they're using their imagination.
Yes.
But it's also good for you to stop because, most of us wouldn't just stop and do that sort of thing.
No. And let me tell you, Sue, there is nothing that tests your learning and stretching your brain like doing homework.
Yes, yes, yeah.
It's so different. Maths is so different. And then you're having to remember sentence structure and punctuation and all of those things that you've taken for granted type of thing. And it's like, oh my goodness, this is just a real stretch. And there's a level of frustration, so I can understand what they go through when they're trying to learn
Yes.
something new as well too, because it's like, this is really stretching me. I just want to walk away from it, but I know that I have to stick with it. So it's allowing me that opportunity to probably be a little bit more resilient as well too. So
Mm,
which
mm,
is wonderful. But I think what we're talking about is really creating memories in motion
mm, mm.
because we're combining these two things. If we're like if the kids are doing somersaults or cartwheels, they're learning, we're showing them that it's okay to learn new things and it's okay to fall over and do it. Um, when I climb on top of the ute with them, they're learning that it mightn't be easy to do, but the challenges are absolutely fun. And on Friday nights, I've developed this thing is that I put music on. So when they arrive home from school, we have a dance party. So, and, and that's just so much fun. We don't do anything else, but we just dance and everybody gets to pick a song. And I think at the end of the day, too, it's showing the adult children as well, too, because
Mm,
sometimes they shake their heads and they just think we're crazy.
mm, mm,
But I think at some point you might turn around and you might see them participating as well, too,
mm,
or sometimes going, "Oh, there goes Mum. She used to embarrass us when she was when we were kids, and now she's doing it all over again."
mm. Or, they sort of, but in doing that, deep down, they appreciate what you're doing with them because it's perhaps sometimes in this world we live in, parents don't necessarily have a lot of
No.
times to do that, whereas a grandparent can be a little bit more present. And you mightn't be, well, you are, but I'm not with mine all the time. So I can sort of go and say, well, here I am, I'm present, nothing else is going to,
Yes.
um, interrupt that. So there's so many benefits to having a grandparent involved with grandchildren for both generations.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that I have to pull myself up on because it's so easy to get caught up in, the day-to-day grind.
Mm,
And so
mm,
I have to realize that I'm trying to balance a parenting role with a grandparenting role.
mm,
And it's not an easy thing to do because I know that, with my grandchildren, I would still put levels of boundaries around them, guidelines, let's call them. But I have to be that little bit stricter with these grandkids because I'm trying to teach them as well too. So
Mm,
it's a
mm,
it's a really, really tricky one.
mm, mm,
So let's talk about some practical tips that we can give the ladies who are listening today about how to start, if they haven't already started, building these magic moments in motion with
mm,
their grandkiddos. Do
mm.
you want to kick us
Okay.
off? Yeah.
Well, first of all, being an active grandparent is so important. And there's actually a theory called the active grandparent hypothesis,
Oh.
which came out from the National Academy of Sciences. And I'm going to read the notes here because I
Hmm.
don't remember it all. But it suggested that, days when we were hunters and gatherers living in the past,
Hmm.
once you were past your childbearing, you actually, it's a bit like that village to raise a child. You got
Yeah.
involved with your grandchildren, which helped you live longer. Now, of course, in the old, back in prehistoric times, the lifespan wasn't that long, but
No.
it did, if they were more active with their children, more active. And it was that the physical activity helped them survive longer. So not just for the kids, but for ourselves, we need to be fit in our body
Mm.
as well. And they found that, men and women, those who were more fit were half as likely to suffer from chronic disease as you got older. So, I mean, it's not just the benefits of being able to start these things with your grandchildren, it's
Oh,
it's for yourself as well. Um, and I think starting off, you don't, as I said, it doesn't have to be anything world chat, any
no.
grand thing. Kids like simple things. And I think even if you said, let's just go for a walk and, like go for a family walk and you just walk around the neighborhood and you're getting a bit of movement in. This is for grandparents who,
Yeah.
aren't quite as active or
Hmm.
fit as
Hmm.
what they could be. So just go for a walk with them, taking in the nature, do a mindfulness walk with them. Now,
Yes.
that's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to be too much for you if you're not that fit, but it's going to be where you could talk to them as you're going on these walks. And if you make it like you've done that Friday night or whenever it is after dinner, you go for that walk. They're little memories that they're going to take forward with them. So it doesn't have to be anything grand.
Yeah.
I think kids like simple, and because there's so many other things fighting for their attention, simple is good.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is, as you said, it's about starting where you're at. So you may not be the grandmother doing cartwheels, but maybe you're doing a somersault.
Mm,
And maybe you're not doing a somersault. Maybe, you're able to do a half split or something or other. Who knows what it is? But it's just about starting where you're at as far as that activity that you're
mm,
going to participate with that
mm.
child. I think the other thing is making, because it is about safety as well too. So, we're
Yes.
wanting to keep them safe. So we want to make that safety thing fun. And one of the observations that I had, because I had taken four grandkids on holidays to the beach just recently, and I noticed that there were surf lessons just down the little way from us. So I organized these surf lessons. And so the instructor we had was absolutely brilliant. And he took them up to the top of the sand dunes and he was explaining to them the current and what was going on with the waves and how to actually check everything before they went in to the surf. And it made me realize that what he was doing, he was keeping them safe, but he was also making it fun for them, because they had the
mm,
hands on their faces, over their eyes,
mm,
looking
mm,
like they were little adventurers and everything like that. So, yeah, I think that it's really important that we think about how we just don't go, oh, don't go there.
mm,
You're going to get hurt. It's like, let's have a think about that. Is something going to happen if I do that? So
mm,
taking a different approach to it. I think also when the kids are playing, so for example, your grandsons, they're playing soccer, but maybe you're not able to run right now. But what you can do is that you could maybe walk, or maybe you become the goalkeeper.
mm, mm,
So what we're trying to do here is to build trust through encouragement and celebrate every attempt that not just the grandkiddos have, but
mm,
we have as well too.
mm,
So I
mm,
don't know how
mm.
many times, I've tried to hang upside down, as an example, on the jungle gym, throw my legs over the top and hang upside down. And I kept on, flopping all over the place. But eventually I got it. And it was like, yes, I've done this, and they were going, "Yay, you're so awesome." And
Mm,
so that that celebration, I think, is so, so important.
mm, mm.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, also they can teach you things, or for example, say, well, I'm not as good as you are at soccer because I haven't played it, so I need some tips. And so that gets them a bit more involved. And then I might do something, they'll go, oh, that was really good, Nan, or, kick it with this foot or something. So it's making them think about what they're doing. And I might be ready for the Matildas at the next World Cup. But
You might put that on your bucket list.
yeah, yeah.
I was thinking about Lockie with his Nintendo Switch. It was like, Nan, do you want to play with me? And it was like, oh, mate, yeah, I've never played like computer
Mm,
games,
mm,
video
mm.
games, or anything like that. I'll be awful at it. Anyway, said, so he's trying to show me how to do it, and he's all over the place. And it was like, can I hold it? And can you actually explain to me what the buttons,
Yes,
I
do.
need to
Mm,
learn that way rather than you rushing through it. And anyway, so we started off and it was a car racing thing. And anyway, I didn't come last. I probably came second last. And then the next time I did it, I came sixth. And the next time I did it, I think I got third or something or other. And he says, you haven't got first yet. And I said, no, but I'm on a winner and I'm going to call it quits now. So I'm gone from being terrible to not so bad.
mm,
And I'm
mm.
celebrating that achievement. So yeah,
Yes, yes. You don't always have to be the winner.
no.
Yeah, so I think it just comes back, other things that you can do is to actually have a little plan with what you're going to do with them. Not, it's a bit harder for you because you've got them day in, day out,
Yes.
so it's more like parenting. But as a grandparent, you might just see them once a week like I do, and then I have them for a couple of days in the school holidays. So I
Mm,
tend to try and map out what I'm going to do with them,
mm,
and for us to make our memories. And it doesn't always have to be going out, it could be something simple, but like one day we just caught the ferry, the little boat over to Coochie Island, and walked around the island, which I didn't realise was so long. And, poor little Elliot was saying, Nan, I can't walk anymore. But, it was just, we went out on an adventure. We went on a boat. We went
yeah.
along the beach. We were picking up things. We were looking at our surroundings. They were climbing and doing other things. And so, if you don't sort of have a plan of what you want to do, you can waste the time. And
You
then
can.
and it's easier to say, oh, well, let's just watch a movie, which is, look, it's okay to watch a movie. We
Yeah.
split our day up, so we have activity and then we might watch a movie and then we'll have activity. But it's easy then to say, just go and watch TV and you go and do your own thing. So having that plan of what you want to
Mm,
do with them.
yeah. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, for us, we're pretty lucky, and I think you're the same. You've got a swimming pool there.
Mm,
So,
mm,
that's always fabulous, a fabulous activity that you can do. There's so many different things that you can do in a pool as
mm,
well too. So you've got that
mm.
movement. So, is there anything you want to wrap up with, Sue?
Well, just a couple of other things that I
Go
read,
for it.
because it's not just about the physical, but
No.
there is evidence that as grandparents, if we regularly engage in caregiving, we have a stronger cognitive ability.
Hmm.
Um, we can have more protection against dementia because we've talked about how we have to use our
Mm,
brain and our creativity. And it can be a blend of engagement and then that promotes cognitive resilience. So we're sort of getting involved in whatever they're doing and perhaps learning some new things ourselves. So, there's a lot to be said about grandparenting and being active in not just your physical but your mental health and using your brain as well.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree with all of that. One of the things that I'm doing at the moment is writing my book, as you know. And so what I have in this book is these things called move moment. And so what I like to do is wrap up these types of sessions with this move moment. So it's like, what can we do to encourage this playground revolution with our grandkiddos? So, so what I would say is just pick one activity that you love to do as a child. And maybe it was skipping, maybe it was climbing, maybe it was swinging, maybe it was dancing. It doesn't matter what it was. It was something that has a great memory for you. And then what you want to do is this week share that memory with the grandkiddos in some way. So
Mm,
even if you're going to start really, really small, like 5 minutes, maybe it was dancing, maybe it was singing, who knows? So maybe you find a song that you can all sing together. So any type of activity is going to count. But just take the moment once you've done that to notice how it feels for you.
mm,
And what I would love everybody to do is to share their experience in the comments today, because we'd really love to hear what adventures they're creating, all those active nans out there, what they're creating with their grandkiddos. What are they? And how does that make them feel? Because it's not about being the fastest or the strongest. It's just about being present and playing,
mm,
basically.
mm, mm. Yeah, I was going to say, not everyone is as fit as we're all at different levels. So,
Absolutely.
you don't sort of use that as an excuse, oh, I can't do that, because as I said, even just going for a walk, having a chat. I'm going to pick up my grandson from school this afternoon, so we'll walk home and have a chat about the day and we'll have a
Yeah.
look around and we walk. And it's a good opportunity for me to get a walk in and to have that one-on-one time with him. And it's amazing what we can learn from them as well during those little conversations.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, what we want all the ladies to do is to dust off their inner active nan,
Hmm.
grab their boots, and make the commitment to feeling more adventurous, dust off their playful spirit, and show these grandkiddos how it's actually done with style, wisdom, and the whole of our heart. Thanks for joining me, Sue.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, ladies. We'll see you all soon. Bye for now.